Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And in a planet where we're going to be adding projected 2 billion new people by 2050, how we're going to be able to take care of all these people with the food, the fuel, the fiber, also the basic infrastructure. And we're talking about the focusing on the Native Americans in the United States and some of the outstanding best practices that they are developing, and at the same time actually have examples that can be used around the globe. Someone sitting right beside me is very much involved in all this. Her name is Patti Barkett. She is the principal of LED Lighting and Water Technologies. And also, she's a Cherokee Nation approved contractor. And Patti, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. And I really do like this logo that you have up here. But tell us a little bit about your organization and what is the meaning of a Cherokee Nation approved contractor?
Well, thanks for asking. I am very excited to be here and share some ideas with you because the reason I started my company is to promote energy efficient solutions and try and bring things to people so that they can move towards more energy efficient products. So my company is a Cherokee Nation, it's a TERO company. That just means that as an Indian-owned business, I can work with other companies and provide services and products to help them improve their business.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I know that being out at the National Congress of American Indians actually was really an eye-opener for me because it's not just hundreds, it's thousands of new businesses and new ideas, new technologies are going on all across what they call Indian country, and it's absolutely amazing. But I know one of the things you've been working on is LED lighting, which is the proverbial low-hanging fruit as far as increasing the lighting within organizations, reducing the heat, and at the same time reducing the cost. Tell us, what is LED lighting and why is it really so important as far as all the large casinos and other things that are happening across the various Indian tribes?
Well, LED lighting, it's still a relatively new technology, but at the same time, in the last year, it's really come on. It is going to, change the way we replace bulbs. We will buy new light bulbs to invest, really, because they last a long time. And the key thing with LED lighting is that these manufacturers put a warranty. So when you're buying a light bulb, there will be a warranty for maybe 3 or 5 years. So the reason I wanted to get into LED lighting is to maximize the ability for people to have access. Because if you can reduce the number of people between you and the manufacturer, then you can help reduce cost.
Yeah, let's bring up this slide. I want to have these in the background because when you're talking about this, as far as these LED lighting, they do give you the guarantee, but some of these guarantees now are going for 12, 15, even up to 18 years, particularly with LED lighting, the compact fluorescents are a little bit shorter, but it's still tremendous savings as far as labor, time, and energy. But going in and working with some of these facilities, what is some of the things that you need to do at the beginning? One, to convince them they should do it, and secondly, what's the actual process of going through and changing out the fixtures and the light bulbs?
You can go about it a couple of different ways. For example, in Maryland, there's a utility program where you can go in and do an energy audit and find out everything that they have in place and try and apply to the utilities for cash incentives. And that is what I have done to help some companies, because that way they have cash toward the purchase. And you know, some of the people are concerned that quality might be an issue, but if you look at it from the manufacturer's standpoint, with these warranties, it's not good business sense for them to just throw products out there. When you buy a product, there's a warranty for that length of time, so it would put them out of business if they didn't have a quality product.
Oh yeah, and I know this is something standing, but introduce us to who this charming young man is.
Oh, that is Chief Baker, and that was just a couple of weeks ago. We were at the National Museum of American Indians, and we had Cherokee Days, which is it was a weekend full of activities, and in fact, we had our very first meeting of a new organization here, a new Cherokee community group in Washington,
and this is in
DC.
Washington, D.C.
Right,
yes, yeah.
right.
Well, this is just an incredible museum. I've been down there many, many times, and we're going to be featuring them on the Emerald Planet TV, and it's a very unique location. But it's interesting, I think, when I was talking with the executive director, he said if we went through all the federally recognized tribes and we did, you know, I think it was 2 to 3 tribes in a week, I forget how many hundreds of years it would take, you know, to get through everybody, because there's 566 federally recognized, and then about another 150 other tribes that are not federally recognized, so there's just a lot of tribes out there. Going back into the energy efficiency, energy savings, what are some of the other things that you're doing, and the importance of actually introducing all these advanced technologies to the various tribes, you know, regardless of, you know, the tribal affiliation? Well,
actually, I am a newly certified Cherokee TERO business. So to me, that is an honor, because that is a way I can give back to the Cherokee Nation. You know, just trying to offer products that will help them with their construction or different projects. And you'll see on some of the slides that they have lots of different opportunities for energy efficient lighting, for water solutions. Out in Oklahoma, with the weather the way it's been, you know, having some water collection systems and ways to access that water with solar powered filters and pumps, you know, those are things that are usable and can help people with, you know, gardens and crops and, you know, any of the activities that they're trying to do. For example, this solar generator that I found that I'm very excited about, it's Sunrunner. You can take it out to an event where you don't have electricity, and it's renewable energy. It's, you know, it's still you know, limited to the amount that it can collect, but in a remote setting or for a construction site, for if your power goes out, you can run your washing machine. You know, there are lots of different solutions.
Well, looking at this type of system too, the whole thing about it, Patti, is that you can take this many different places, but actually people can set these up at their own homes and have it as the backup. And of course, more and more solar systems are being installed in Washington, D.C., Maryland, many states around the United States, so that people actually are producing a sufficient amount, or maybe even a little bit more. It can go into the grid themselves. So all of a sudden they become a partner with the utility, which is just an incredible way of thinking that individual homeowners can be able to do that. And I think this is another one of these systems that you were talking about.
Right. I think going forward that we will all be responsible for contributing to, you know, generating power, whether it's just with a solar panel or the technology is coming down to the individual level. So there are solutions for, if you can't purchase the solar power, the solar panels, then you can lease the solar panels, and at least that way we can support the grid and be more sustainable and contribute.
Well, this is going back to that water situation you're talking about, Patti, too, as far as water harvesting. This is something as the earth, in essence, becoming drier and drier, and we have harsher storms, more runoff into the tributaries and out into the oceans, there must be a way. So looking at these, what are the different solutions do we have as far as water harvesting itself is concerned?
Well, one interesting program that I found is with Montgomery County, and they have a rainscape program.
This is in the state of Maryland,
in
correct?
the state of Maryland. And basically what they have done is they have set up a program to help teach people and guide people on these are some of the rainscape solutions like rain barrels and different landscaping techniques. And you can apply for cash incentives to install these solutions. So those are some very good options. One in particular is called rain catchers, and that is an underground storage. It's a rain collection, but it also stores the water so that you have access to it, whether there's a power outage or whether there's a clean water issue. And this particular picture that I brought is from Haiti, and this is an installation there because, of course, they need access to clean water.
Well, looking at this is the whole thing, Patti. As you know, the water is becoming more and more precious. It's going to become more and more expensive. They're saying water now is the new oil, and
Right.
so the price is going to dramatically increase as the quantity and the quality continues to decrease. And it's not so much about the water itself, but it's the transmission systems that are so old. So this is something that's really needed. Well, we're getting down to, we're almost running out of time. As you know, things go very quickly. What do you see for the future as far as Indian country and the various technologies that are coming out, both the Native Americans taking it out, you know, to the community surrounding them, and for new technologies going on to tribal lands?
Well,
and then we got about 1 minute, and that's it.
Well, all I can say is that I hope I can help. I hope I can give back, and you know, the Cherokee Nation is a very sophisticated group of people, and they already have some.
When you have
LED
Chief Baker, it's going to be very sophisticated.
It's going to be
There's no doubt.
You know, he's a smart guy, and they already have some LED lighting in their casinos because I was there in Tulsa just a couple of months ago. So they're already investing in new technology, from what I can tell.
Yeah, well, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and of course, with you being in the Washington D.C. area and working with, you know, the various tribal areas, that's really important because you can actually share this technology that you're finding here. This is Patti Barkett, who is Principal, LED Lighting and Water, and thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs or to make a tax-free donation, contact cfrip at AOL.com.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read and may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America, and reading is fundamental.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we're looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products. And of course, the people are making a difference as we move towards 2050 and the end of this century. And as we look around the globe, we're trying to figure out how we're going to be able to take care of a planet with 9 billion souls, yes, 9 billion people. How we're going to be able to have an increased quality of life, to provide the food, the fuel, the fiber, as well as the infrastructure of education, healthcare, transportation, and everything else that is needed. We have a gentleman who is actually linking people to new green jobs and to generate new businesses, and at the same time to really solve some of these issues. Specifically focused on Native American tribal areas, but at the same time with all the communities standing around. This is Brian J. Cabulagan, who is the business development at Native Hire Organization. And we have right beside me Patti Barkett, who is the principal of LED Lighting and Water Technologies, and she's a Cherokee Nation approved contractor. And Brian's actually going to come to us by telephone. And Patti is going to be here in case we happen to lose the telephone contact. Brian, are you with us?
Yes, Dr. Samuel. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and welcome to the Emerald Planet. And I think they have, hopefully they have your photograph to put up there so people can actually see you. And we'll get that going here in just a minute. But anyway, tell us a little bit about Native Hire and what it means, and what's the impact of Native Hire. And then we have this map up. Since you're coming by phone, you can't see it, and we'll talk a little bit about the various tribal areas in your area of California. So again, welcome to Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you very much. Well, Native Hire is a division of Southern California Tribal Chairman Association. And it was born at a coordination and collaboration of the 19 tribes here in San Diego County, along with federally contract companies, as well as the Department of Labor. And with Southern California Tribal Chairmen's Association, as I mentioned, it's a consortium of the 19 tribes in San Diego, and they are federally recognized Indian tribes within Southern California in San Diego County.
I tell you, that is really a big deal, this federal recognition, and this is, you know, many times we get questions about what is a federally recognized tribe, what does that really mean? So tell us about the 566 federally recognized tribes and actually the importance of that, if you don't mind.
Certainly. You know, first and foremost, within our United States, of course, we have the many sovereign nations of the tribal nations, and with that, many of the folks that I go out and speak to in the public, I want to be an advocate to teach and educate and create an awareness. And quite honestly, some of the folks that I call on in corporate America, they don't understand that within our United States, we have the sovereign nations of each tribe, and they are specifically, you know, governed individually. It bothers me when I hear folks say, you know, when they say they and them, putting them in one category. And again, I have to emphasize that no, these are truly sovereign nations across our United States, where the tribal members are registered and enrolled within their tribes across the nation. And as I mentioned, here in Southern California, San Diego County specifically, again, we have SCTCA, which is a nonprofit corporation established in 1972 here in San Diego. And again, it's a consortium of 19 federally recognized tribes within Southern California.
Well, I tell you, when you look at this map, Brian, it's amazing the amount of land and the strategic locations that you have for these federally recognized tribes within the San Diego area. Tell us a little bit about how Native Hire relates to the tribal members within the area, and then how do you reach out to the surrounding communities in order to generate new jobs, but also at the same time, new businesses?
Thank you. And again, just to recap briefly on the history, again, it was born out of a coordination and collaboration of our 19 federally recognized tribes here in San Diego. And out of a need, I can share a story with, I won't mention their name, however, they were an energy-based company, and they, being a federally recognized contractor, they have to follow a ordinance which is called TERO. TERO stands for Tribal Employment Rights Ordinance. And if there is a Native American individual who is a qualified candidate for that specific job, that company, by law, is supposed to give that individual, and again, the individual is a qualified candidate, and if they are, they're supposed to give that individual first preference for that job.
Yeah, and it's amazing what you're doing. I know that you're business development, and that's a tremendous responsibility. At the same time, it's a tremendous opportunity to reach out and match the tribal areas within the surrounding communities. So what is the current unemployment rate you have among the youth and adults in Indian country, either in your area or generally? And how is Native Hire really helping and matching so that you reduce the unemployment rate, at the same time provides those good skills, knowledge, and energy out for businesses, nonprofits, local governments, and civic organizations?
Certainly. Well, currently right now, the national average right now is right around 8 or 9% nationally. However, in Indian country, it's in the double digits. Unfortunately, it's currently, right around 11 to 12% amongst youth and Indians within Indian country. And with Native Hire, the way that we want to help and reach out, again, it was formed here locally in San Diego to meet the needs of the tribes and to reach out to some of the companies that are working near or on the reservation. And it was just a dream and a brainstorm to develop this, because often the case is that jobs are very scarce in some of the more remote tribal lands, and thus unemployment rate is higher in these areas, which has affected not only San Diego County, but of course across the nation. As I mentioned, it's currently up to about 11 to 12% within Indian country. So with the help to ease the situation, again, working in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Labor, and then educating and creating an awareness, teaching the federally contracted companies that there are regulations to allow federal contractors and companies who are working, again, as I mentioned, on or near a reservation, to give hiring preference to qualified Native Americans.
Well, that's very important to know, and I thank you for sharing that information. And as you know, we have Patti Barkett, who is sitting right beside me with the LED lighting and water technology, and she's a Cherokee Nation approved contractor, so the two of you will have to chat after the program is over. But she's here to back you up in case we lose our telephone connection. But since we have it, Patti, why don't you ask the next question?
Well, I'm just curious, your company sounds so interesting. I'm curious, how does your company help young Native Americans with the skills and the attitudes and different things that will help them find employment and prosper?
Thank you, Patti. That's a great question. One of the things that we do, which we have posted on our nativehire.org website, is for the job seekers. The first thing that's really awesome is they could sign up today, and it's totally free. There's no charge, and with that, we can help the individuals, teach them how to create a cover letter or build their resume, prepare them to build their resume, and even teach them great business habits of writing a thank you note. We have our own tribal print source on our reservation, and we provide nice thank you notes and thank you cards so the individuals can, give that added special touch to write a handwritten note. In addition to that, we have workshops, job fairs, job search videos that are available online. And again, it's totally free to the job seeker. All they have to do is sign up and register online.
Well, that's an incredible service, and I know that your title is business development. Having been there throughout my life, that is a mighty responsibility, and it takes a long time in order to realize working with businesses and nonprofits and others. But what does your job entail specifically, and how are you that bridge from Native Hire into these businesses, local governments, nonprofits, and even community associations that may be able to provide employment opportunities on the other side of that may be looking for people and they just can't find the right match, and you just happen to have the people that they need?
Certainly. Again, as a representative of nativehire.org, as business development, my background in business acumen has been in sales and customer service and marketing. First and foremost, I need to go out to the public and plant the seeds by creating an awareness and educate the public and companies. Again, for example, I met with the director of HR for a windows and sliding glass door company, and she quite honestly didn't even know what TERO meant or even stood for. And in addition, I asked her, have you done a census, or can you give me demographics, numbers of how many Native American Indians work for your company? And she quite honestly couldn't even answer that to me. So again, I need to foster the awareness and educate them on what is currently going on with the current population within locally here in Southern California with the tribes nearby, and then spread the word across the country. I have to build relationships with these companies to attend some of their meetings and workshops and job fairs that they have, continue to be an advocate and share with them.
Brian, we're going to lose you just in the next few minutes. So,
okay.
Anyway, really appreciate you being with us and sharing about all this. And I want to say that you are a division of the California Tribal Chairmen's Association, which is very important and has a great role to play in your area of California. And we really thank you for being with us and sharing about what's going on with Native Hire as we create the Emerald Planet.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. One in some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about $3,000. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water. At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site. That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff. You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People, the flood is imminent!
Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters. collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school. These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you, and we're looking around the globe in 144 different nations looking for what we call the best of the best. The technologies, the services, and the products, and of course the people that are affiliated with these as we look around the globe and how we're going to be able to accommodate a planet with 9 billion souls, at the same time to increase the quality of living and the opportunities for all these 2 billion new people that will be joining us on the planet. And we have a gentleman who is actually traveling around the world. He is from the United States in Chicago. His name is George Page. He is the president and CEO of what's called PortAPure. And this actually is something that he's invented and created on his own. And George, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is exciting to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I know you just came back from the country of Peru, and I did want to let you know and introduce you to Patti Barkett, who is a principal with LED Lighting and Water Technology. She was the charming young lady I was telling you about earlier. She's a Cherokee Nation approved contractor. And so we're going to be introducing the two of you. But tell us, George, a little bit about this PortAPure and how was it created, and really what was the focus, the mission that you were thinking about when you developed this technology?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks again for having me on the show. Essentially, prior to launching PortAPure, I spent 9 years as a water filtration specialist working for the government here in the United States. I was responsible for treating the world's largest water treatment plant, and we, on peak periods, would treat up to 1 billion gallons of water a day. So I did that for years. And Haiti, and I realized that with my experience, background, and expertise, I could develop a solution that could benefit Haitians and others located around the world who face similar problems, a lack of clean drinking water.
Well, I know it's really important to have that type of background, and being a chemical engineer, that really fits into your strength as far as being able to reach out to people that are at need. But looking at the earthquake in Haiti and the destruction that's going on there, as you know, in essence, they lost all the pure water in that whole city, which was about 2.7 million people. So why PortAPure, which is something that's very small, portable, and which goes to that porta, and then trying to reach massive numbers of people? So what's that bridge from this very simple but powerful technology into expanding urbanized societies?
It really comes down to just increasing access by decentralizing the water treatment process. When a disaster hits or when families are located in remote areas, it's very difficult for large-scale systems to really be the solution. So what happens is individuals and families have to take this upon themselves, and when they do that, they have to use the processes and technologies that are around them. And in Haiti's case, there just wasn't much of an alternative there. So you had over 11,000 people succumb to cholera over the last several years in Haiti because there really was a lack of options.
Well, looking at that, reaching out to the rural areas, and of course, as you know, the planet is rapidly urbanizing. We're now, in general, about 54% in urban areas. They're saying by 2050 will be over 80% living in urban areas. And of course, Brazil is already at 87%. The United States is already almost 81% urbanized areas. And so when you're looking at this technology, how is the application used within very urban areas, say like in Nairobi, Kenya, or Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, or other types of countries where you have very tightly compact communities, and yet there's absolutely no infrastructure for water?
Absolutely. So every place is different. In certain areas there are wells that are all contaminated, but they do provide source water. In other situations, like in Peru, people have running water in their homes. They just can't drink it. So our system connects up with their source water coming into the home that's just contaminated. But either way is an option for using our product, our solution, putting source water into the system, and without the electricity, pumps, and chemicals that some other alternatives offer, our system can simply purify water for them without any complexity.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, George, and thank you for sharing that information, because this is really probably the perfect image right behind us, and we're going to leave this up because you have a gentleman here, and you can see this, with his what they call a bush pump. It's very simple. It's hand-powered, and they get his 3 to 5 gallon bucket full of water, and then it goes through your system. So tell us what happens once he pumps this water out of, and a lot of this, even though it's coming from underground aquifers, it's still polluted because of the lack of sanitation. Then what is the next process? What are we actually looking at here, George?
So he can take that bucket that he fills with water, which, as you alluded to, is contaminated, and pour it directly into our system. He can also take our system and fill it up directly, as he's doing here. And we have just a high flow woven gravity filter that lies at the top of the product, and then that then fills up our system within 2 to 3 minutes. And then we have a bottom filter that's used upon consumption to also do a final filtration. So the system is filled, and as it's filled, it's filtered and purified, and then with the twist of a spigot, you can get clean water to drink.
Well, looking at this here, I know this is in a group presentation that you're making in a facility down in Haiti, and of course you have several of the different products that you have available. How do you actually take this to people that are in need and let them know what you have, but at the same time really educate them to the importance of clean water? Because we were doing a series of seminars, people in the Congo, and one of the leaders literally started crying, saying, my people and their whole lives have never seen clean water. And you're talking about the same situation, the people that we're looking at in this slide. So how do you educate? How do you reach out that way?
We partner, specifically in Haiti, we partner with NGOs and religious organizations like this one to sort of help with the outreach, education, and training. In other cases, like Peru, we partner with distributors that also do training on our behalf as well. But it's really about building relationships so that this becomes a sustainable solution.
Well, as you know, Patty's sitting right beside us, being very patient in case we happen to lose you by Skype. And so since we've been able to keep you on, I'm going to let Patti ask the next question. Patti?
George, it's very nice to meet you, and your product sounds so interesting. I'm just curious, what other countries do you plan on working in? Where do you want to go from here?
We've still are in the process of evaluating where our next moves are. There are a number of considerations that we have to take into account when dealing internationally, such as customs and borders issues and ease of partnering to do business in another country. But it really, for us, it's based on how we can build relationships, partnerships, and this collaborative effort as we move into a country. That helps us decide our next step.
Well, I think that's a really important emphasis, and I know that Patti, we've gotten to know each other through technology seminars and organizations, and it's really all about collaboration, as you know, George. But looking at the environmental, the economic, and the social impact, why develop your own business, and what do you see for the long-term impact of such small, simple technologies as the world continues to expand? 2 billion new people coming on the scene by 2050 and going into urban areas. How do you see you're filling that niche, that demand for clean water within these communities?
I think that working for a large-scale water treatment plant, I just really understand the amount of infrastructure and the complexities that are needed to provide centralized water. And I think that in a lot of countries, as they expand, this will not be a short-term solution. So the short-term option is the point-of-use filtration system, and using gravity so that it can be utilized by families that may not have the education to understand some of the more complex alternatives is, in my mind, the best solution moving forward. So I think as we begin to grow and build on these partnerships, our focus is around empowering families to make their lives better by allowing them easy water treatment options, and our system is that.
Looking at what you're doing, George, and we're just about running out of time, but how can this system be used as far as food production or other types of things going on in the community besides just making it as a drinkable product?
That's a great question, because food, in the preparation of food, you typically require water, and you need safe water to prevent you from having to boil all of the water that's going to be used in food preparation. So this product has implications in food prep, such as juicing, where you have dilution water that you need to add to juices, or in preparing foods for the public to consume. So water really does have an impact on almost every aspect of life, and food preparation is one of those.
Well, and we can exist without a lot of things, but not without water. So you're in the crux of what we're doing. We have just about 15 seconds. How do you think you can collaborate with Patti and the Cherokees, but also all tribal communities across the United States as you're reaching out to the world? And we only have about 15 seconds.
Okay, Patty, it's great to meet you. I think the opportunity is for those that are located in remote areas. Our product is, I think, essential if they also have a lack of clean drinking water, and we would love to work with you any way we can.
Yeah, well, thank you. This is George Page, President and CEO of PortAPure, and thank you for being with us, coming in from Chicago, and thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
Saving for retirement might be easy for some folks, but for others, it might take a little more work. And for those who haven't started, there are still things you can do to catch up.
Oh, that is good news.
Like getting out from underneath past debt. And don't get wrapped up with high-interest credit cards.
Get you some eyes.
Be diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
Everyone with alcohol and drug addiction is in the same boat.
The buffalo, is that the last one? It does go so fast, Sam. It goes so fast.
With treatment, you can find solid ground. For drug and alcohol information and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Oh, sorry.
Dude, are you sure you want this tattoo? Because just do it.
Some mistakes in life are permanent. like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit asha.org.
You've probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide?
Thank you, sir.
Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President, Executive Director of Emerald Planet and Director of Host of Emerald Planet TV. Thank you for being with us as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we're looking around the tribal areas of what they call Indian country, the 566 federally recognized tribes in the United States and overseas, we're looking for those very unique projects that are having a profound impact on their local communities, but also in Indian country, but way beyond that, impact in all communities. And we have someone that I met several years ago is doing something that's actually absolutely mind-blowing and just incredible. We're going to introduce you to a very dynamic lady who is, her name is Cynthia Hart-Button. She is the president of the World Peace Alliance and also the president of the White Bison Association. So you already know what's getting ready to come before you. And then sitting right beside me is Patti Barkett, who is the principal of LED Lighting and Water Technologies, a Cherokee Nation approved contractor. And we're going to put up this first slide if we can before Cynthia even comes on. If we can get that slide up. And Cynthia, I know you're here by Skype, and welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Well, thank you. It's a great honor, and it's great seeing you again.
Yes, and thank you. And I wanted to have the slide to come up about the time that you do. No, this is not Cynthia. This is
he looks better than
this
me.
is white spirit, and so you're going to see a lot of white buffalo. But tell us about your organization. One about the World Peace Alliance, but also about the White Bison Association. Both of these are very unique organizations, even in Indian country.
Yeah, Sacred World Peace Alliance is about all nations coming together, people from all over the world, with one goal: harmony to the earth and peace and goodwill to all. And that's what we started to do. And White Bison Association started, obviously, you can see, we have 18 white buffaloes now. And it's been an incredible journey. I thought we'd end up with one white buffalo, and then we had 4, and it just seems to keep going.
Well, the unique thing about this, and when I tell people about it, that's why I really wanted to have you on very early in doing these series about Native Americans and the tribal areas. I tell people about these white buffalo, and they absolutely just wouldn't believe me. And of course, the fame is, even in Indian country, is that you have one white buffalo about each generation. You have 18. You have 18. Yeah. I want that to sink in. Tell us a little bit about that. How do you have 18 white buffalo and you're supposed to have one?
Well, I can't explain it. I've tried to figure it out. We breed our whites with browns, and only in our 5th generation now we have actually birthed white to white, and we've received brown ones. So we're trying to study on these animals to find out where the white gene comes from. Ours are DNA tested, our first 4, to prove that they are white buffaloes. And in that, we've been breeding with really good full blood stock. And sometimes we get a white one and sometimes we don't. But we've been actually getting one almost every year, or 2 or 3.
Yes, and that's something that you and I were talking about, that you have a new calf that was born just recently. But looking at involving the greater community, you know, the Native American tribal people as well as the surrounding communities, what are you doing to really encourage the people to be involved and to learn more about the white buffalo, the spiritual nature of this, and the power that's bringing not just to the tribes, but to all of humankind?
Well, as I said, our goal is bringing people together from all over the world to do prayers and to do projects with us. One of the things that had happened, Black Elk came out to see us from the Lakota Nation, and he said, you know, there's all this shed from the buffaloes. I think you should do blankets or do some weaving with that. And I thought to myself, well, okay. And then all of a sudden, Paul Haight shows up and he says, you know, Pendleton would really be interested in helping you with this shed. And I said, well, that's interesting. And as you can see on my back wall, I don't know if you can see too well, we have created the Pendleton blanket with white buffalo shed in it. And today, my goal is to do our own mill and it be an educational, because Sacred Peace Alliance is about sustainability too, and it's a sanctuary that is sustainable. And also the mill, bring mills back, because the trade has been lost. There's only 2 or 3 companies in the United States, Pendleton, of course, one of the largest. And I just think it would be fun to bring a mill in and be an educational mill, so you can learn how to use all the different sheds, from llamas, alpacas, and sheep, and rabbits, and it would just be fun. And also, one of the other things that we want to do is hay. Everyone keeps feeding buffaloes or different animals alfalfa. It does burn the kidneys, and so we're specializing on different hays that work for buffaloes. So everything's about the buffaloes and what makes them healthier and better. They're trace minerals, different fruits and vegetables and herbs, and that's what we want to specialize in growing.
Well, you talked about Paul Haight. I want to be totally fair to Paul, because we just kind of glide over his name, but he is really the one that's been working with you very closely for several years now. But he's the chairman of USREM, and they have the Accelerate product, which is 78 minerals that has been evolving over, depending on your belief system, but 350 million years or so, from volcanoes, calderas, and also other type of wash areas. And so understanding, using Accelerate, that you actually were able to expand the size, weight, and girth of these buffaloes. Tell us a little bit about that, because it's an all-natural product, and what you're doing, just like talking about the hay, you're going back everything to native species.
Yeah, the mineral is amazing. We started feeding the mothers. I have Big Mama. Actually, I'm going to put her picture right here. She's the oldest buffalo, and she had the first white one, Miracle, if you can see right there. And today she's still alive. She was, she's very old, and we didn't think she was going to make it at all. We just thought for sure she was going to pass on, and we started giving her the trace minerals. And all of a sudden, a matter of 1 week, we saw an improvement. In 6 months, she was just like a calf, just running around and going crazy. So we decided to start giving all of them trace minerals. Well, the mothers that were having babies, the babies were double their size in birth, which was, unbelievable. And of course, one of our buffaloes went from about 1,500. Today, he's 3,500 pounds.
Well, I want to put up, hold on just a minute, Cynthia. I want to put up this photograph. We're not getting our slides in here for some reason. I want to make sure we stay up, because these are just excellent. Going back to the hair that's coming off, and let's put that down, please, Cynthia. Okay. We've got our slides here. But looking at this as far as the weaving, tell us a little bit about this, and what is the long-term impact as far as the tribal areas, at the same time to teach, really renew crafts, because you're going back not only to native species for the food and the minerals like accelerate, but at the same time you want to go back and actually recapture some of these skills that have become, almost passé within American and even tribal societies.
Yes, and basically with Pendleton's help and a few other mills, we're going to bring in the old techniques and also bring some of the new techniques in. And we'll actually have grandmothers and elders and young children that will actually be using the spinning wheels. We will bring in the weaving machines. You see a more technology machine there. But that actually, that particular machine is from the 1902. And so we're going to bring some of the old ways back, and how you have a drafting table and you make your patterns, and then you see the weaver with the girl on the, I'm not sure if that's your right side, where it's all spun and put into that. So we're going to teach all three techniques. So past, present, and future.
Well, I think it's just absolutely fantastic. Patti's been here very quiet and waiting patiently, just in case we would lose you by Skype, and we've got one of your white buffalo there. So Patti, why don't you ask the next question?
Well, this is just fascinating, and it's so interesting to hear what you have going on, bringing the past together, but what kind of green projects do you plan to bring into this whole project?
The green projects we're bringing is the hair, the mill, and the mill where you're cleaning the hair naturally is organically, bringing all that in, the hay. We're going to bring back some of the old techniques. We're going to have other animals there, horses, and where the old shoeing, the black mills, a lot of different techniques. As I said, we don't have them all set up yet. We're in vision, and we do have the people getting ready to start, but we're not quite there yet. So I don't want to make a lot of promises to a lot of our greens, but we're also going to bring back our natural grains. We're going to be bringing our fields all in organic. They're already, the ones that we're looking at are all organic ranches, and so everything's done by hand.
Cynthia, we're going to lose you in about 30 seconds. So the White Buffalo Sanctuary, I want to leave us to go out with that. What's that going to be, and why call it sanctuary? And what are you entailing in that as the future over the next 5, 10, 15 years? In 30 seconds.
It's a non-kill shelter. It's a sustainable ranch for the white buffaloes and some of the other animals like the Welsh horses and a few other ones. And its goal is to grow and improve the herd and get these animals back out to the world, all over the world and all over the United States, the white buffaloes. I think that would be a great thing for people to have in their herds.
I tell you, I just think it's fantastic. And Cynthia, thank you for being with us and sharing. And this is really a treat. And to have 18 white buffalo, I find, is just absolutely incredible. And thank you for being with us, Patti. Thank you for joining us. And this was Cynthia Hart-Button, who is the president of World Peace Alliance and president of White Bison Association. And thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.